no idea why I've been putting it off, have no idea at the time, whatever it was that was holding me back, what that was. And fast forward to, I ended up being a college professor. I stand up in front of people and talk all the time. And it comes down to figuring out whatever that is that's holding you back and working on it and getting better. It's taking the baby steps,
right,
and just doing the thing, right? And there's so many reasons why people have that. But if we let that hold us, if we let whatever that is that's holding us back, it's affecting every part of our life. It's affecting our personal lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's affecting our professional lives. It's affecting our personal relationships. And so, we really have to get to the root of it and understand nobody's asking people to be Tony Robbins, right? I mean, there's no way it's lean into who you are, talk the way that and communicate the way that you are. Just get up and start doing it and practice, and it'll get better. Promise you it'll get better.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stephenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, where our mission is to help you live your best audacious life ever. It's always a pleasure to be here sharing insights and inspiration with you, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. Now, today we're diving into a topic that resonates with many, building confidence in public speaking. Imagine you're a tightrope walker balancing precariously high above the ground. Your ability to stay upright hinges on your self-awareness and focus. Just like that tightrope walker, many individuals grapple with public speaking because they're unaware of their fears that throw them off balance. Tim Newman, our guest today, emphasizes that by honing in on authenticity and building genuine relationships with our audience, anyone can find their footing and improve their communication skills. Tim has developed a clear formula for effective public speaking, understanding your audience, developing relevant content, define expectations, and practice regularly. He likens mastering fundamentals of public speaking to the rigorous training routines of great athletes. Just as they drill the basics daily, so too must we embrace the fundamentals of communication to ensure our success in any speaking endeavor that we embark on. Again, Tim, he's a seasoned speaking coach who specializes in helping young professionals find their voice. With a wealth of experience in public speaking and teaching, Tim is passionate about empowering others to express themselves confidently. He understands that the nuances of communication and has dedicated his career to helping individuals overcome their speaking fears. Tim's expertise is incredibly relevant to our episode today, as our focus is on building confidence in public speaking. His insights into the fears that hold people back and the actionable strategies for improvement will provide valuable takeaways for anyone looking to enhance their communication skills. So now that we've got you all set, let's turn to our conversation with Tim. Enjoy. Hey, Tim, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. I appreciate you for taking the time to be here, my friend. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share with your community. I love what you're doing. I love the name of it. The background of this, and helping people just understand, what life's about, and just do the thing, man. Just get up and go do it.
Well, and it's so funny because it is simple as that. Just get up and go do it. However, that's the thing that's the simplest is the biggest challenge for a lot of people. And
yes.
You're a speaking coach. You encourage young professionals to help them speak more confidently and stand up and just do it. So exactly when you say that, I know exactly what you're referring to. But it's that confidence piece that really keeps people back, isn't it?
It really is. And sometimes people don't even realize why they're lacking that confidence. Because they could be confident in everything that they do, but when it comes time to share a message, when it comes time to get on stage, when it comes time to go to an interview, whatever it is, they talk themselves into I don't know what to say. I don't know I don't know how to communicate.
Right.
And that's where we have to really get down and help them figure out why that's happening.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I'd love maybe you could share with the audience again your journey, what got you to the work that you're doing now, and what that pathway looked like for you.
Okay, so I'm going to start by asking you a question first, Audley.
Sure.
What's the most nervous you've ever seen somebody in terms of communication, public speaking?
The most nervous. So when they're standing up in front of a group of people and they've got to share something personal about themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the most nervous?
That you've
actually seen, visibly.
Outside of myself, I actually once I was watching it was actually a public speaking competition.
Okay.
And there was a young woman that she just got really nervous and like literally like broke down into tears, like just really, really upset and nervous, and she ended up not finishing. Which is a shame because I remember people in the audience were really encouraging and they really wanted it, but she wasn't able to finish. And funny, I'm as I think about it, reflect on that story, I just remember the thought that time going, wow, not that it was a surprise that confidence can have that kind of impact when you see it live in action, how crippling it was for her.
Yes,
just really struck me, really, really did.
I threw up.
Oh, okay.
So understand. I hope everybody understands this, and that goes back to one of the first things that I said. Doesn't really matter how confident you are in other things that you do, because at that point in my life, I'd been an athlete, I'd been in the military, I'd led people, and when you go to college, you have to take this public speaking speech course, whatever they call it. All institutions have it.
Yep.
And so it's part of the curriculum. You got to take it. They gave me the syllabus. I said, I'm not doing this. I dropped the class. And I'm really, really good at getting out of things that I don't want to do. I'm the master at it. I'll give it off to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so I get to my senior year, and my advisor says, Tim, if you want to graduate, you have to take the class. You're not getting out of it. So I took the class. It's my time to stand up and give my first speech. And this is back before we had computers, but not like we know today. We didn't have PowerPoint. We had transparencies. So it was a slide. I don't know if you remember, where you wrote on, it was like a clear piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had those. I'm ready to go. My notes are on top of the lectern, sitting on top of the desk. And as I get ready to start speaking, I just threw up. No idea why. I've been putting it off. Have no idea at the time, whatever it was holding me back, what that was. And fast forward to, I end up being a college professor. I stand up in front of people and talk all the time. And it comes down to figuring out whatever that is that's holding you back and working on it and getting better. It's taking the baby steps,
right? And
just doing the thing, right? And there's so many reasons why people have that. But if we let that hold us, if we let whatever that is that's holding us back, it's affecting every part of our life. It's affecting our personal lives. It's affecting our professional lives. It's affecting our personal relationships. And so, we really have to get to the root of it and understand nobody's asking people to be Tony Robbins, right? I mean, there's no way it's lean into who you are, talk the way that and communicate the way that you are. Just get up and start doing it and practice, and it'll get better. Promise you, it'll get better.
It was really interesting. You talked about not asking anyone to be Tony Robbins, but what we don't realize, and you're absolutely correct, you don't have to be Tony Robbins, but that doesn't mean that you can't have the kind of impact that Tony Robbins has, right? Exactly. By being yourself.
Exactly. And when you're talking to somebody or when you're communicating with somebody, that's all they want. They just want you to be you. They want to hear what you have to say.
That's right.
They don't want you to be somebody else. And they're not judging you. They're not looking at you and saying, "Oh man, you're really wearing that blue shirt again." Right. Tim, you didn't brush your hair again. They're thinking about themselves. They want to hear your message. They're not judging you.
Yep. and what happens is, especially when you're doing that from an authentic place, right?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
stand up and I give you my real story of whatever personal challenge I went through. But I didn't stop there and tell you about the challenge. I think something about where people where stories like, so let me go back. You can, when it comes to storytelling, you can one of two ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can
Right.
tell the story where you talk about your personal challenges and it ends there and it's all about your misery. You can take it another level and talk about what you did to get past those challenges and how you overcame and how you can too. And so if you're able to convey that type of message, people are sitting there, especially when you're doing it from an authentic place, people are sitting there going, yeah, but he's not like Tony Robbins. They're not doing that.
They're not doing that at all. Absolutely not. You know, and I'm glad you bring that up, because I had a student one time who had a bad stuttering problem. I mean, and he would come to me and we'd work on it. We'd do this. We'd do all the exercises. We'd help him, and finally got him up to give a presentation. And it was a long presentation. It was like a 45 or 50-minute presentation that I had him do. And he's rolling through it. He's doing a phenomenal job. And at the end, he's doing his closing and answering questions, and he started to stutter, and he stopped, and he did exactly what I do. And that's just who I am. He said, well, that whole thing went to shit, excuse me. And everybody laughed because it was authentic. It was him. It was real.
Yeah.
And he laughed, everybody laughed. And then he just got back on to finishing and did a phenomenal job. And that, watching him do that and watching him get over that hump and the confidence that he had just to be in that moment, he went on. He's a high school athletic director now. He gets up in front of people all the time. You know, I mean, right. you know, leading people and talking and doing those types of things. So be authentic. It's okay. I mean, embrace it. Embrace who you are.
Yeah. 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 And I love that. And part of embracing who you are is also embracing those personal challenges, right? And like I talked earlier about how important it is to share those challenges and different ways you can share that, right? And if you share it from a place of here's what happened, but here's what I've done, like there's so much value in that. I'm wondering, sort of on that topic of sort of personal challenges, how do they shape your approach to public speaking?
That's such a great question, and let me start addressing it in this manner. If as we get older, mm-hmm. we don't change, and if we don't approach things differently, I think we're doing it wrong in life.
Okay.
Because as we get older, obviously we have life experience. Obviously we should be learning things and growing and doing those types of things. So here's an example. When I got over the throwing up and I started teaching, one of my approaches was just telling people, stop the uhs and the ums. Just stop it. Okay, when you do that, okay, I'll just stop it, but there's no direction, there's no help in how do you stop it, right? How do you get better at doing these things? You can't just tell somebody to stop doing something and get better at doing something else if you don't give them direction, if they have no idea how to do that.
Right, that's right.
Okay, and so it really hit me when one of my students said that to me. So we had somebody younger who's looking for help, and they said, well, you tell me to do this. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And so that's when I really started developing the whole idea of improving communication outside of just do the thing. Okay. And so there's a process to it. And so I started to develop that process. And, you know, when COVID hit and everything shut down, I was at the point where I knew that our young people were in trouble with how they communicated. Mm-hmm. When we came back from COVID and we're back in person, and to me, the communication skills were so much worse. And I got to the point where I'm thinking, I have to actually stop teaching my content area and really start focusing on these soft skills, because it doesn't really matter if they know the content. If they can't communicate in an interview, it doesn't matter. Mm. And so I really dug in and started to develop a process where we can help people develop a system that can get them from point A to point B in pretty much any situation that they're in, whether they go to a networking event, a job interview, a team meeting, it doesn't really matter. And understand that the very first step in that is you have to know who you're talking to. You have to know who your audience is. And a lot of the times, even as adults and professionals, and I'm sure you run into this, that thought never even enters anybody's mind. They just want to talk about what they want to talk about. They just want to give whatever information that they think that needs to be shared without looking at who they're actually communicating with, what they need,
Right.
what their wants and needs are. And that's a big problem.
Big time. No, it is. And the ability, and I'm glad that you referenced COVID, right? Because I think that's where it was pronounced for us. We saw it loud and clear. I'm wondering if maybe you could share a moment sort of when sort of confidence impacted your own success.
Oh man, you're hitting me with some good questions. I mean, I think it happens to me really on a regular basis, and I hope people understand that. It's my belief that anybody that's good at something or wants to be good at something is self-critical, self-evaluating, and wants to get better and wants to improve. So here's for example. I've been podcasting for about 2 years, well, actually a little over 3 years.
Okay. And
the podcast that I started doing, obviously we did video, but it was always, all the recordings were only audio.
Okay.
Only audio, because I didn't feel comfortable on camera. Up until almost about 9 months ago, think about this. I didn't know how to take a selfie because I didn't know where to look. And my excuse was, that's not what men do. Men don't take selfies, right? Okay. So, I'm playing it off, this, that, and the other thing, but here's the reality. What it was is I didn't feel comfortable doing it because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to look. I didn't want to look stupid. The same reasons why people don't want to get up in front of people and talk. They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to mess it up. And my coach at the time, she said to me, get over it.
Yeah.
This is what I want you to do. And then she gave me some things to do, and I started doing it. And the more you do it, the better it looks. And so just here, for example, you talk about confidence.
Yep.
My setup here, doesn't matter if I'm being a guest or if I'm interviewing somebody, I come in, I test my equipment the night before, make sure it works. I come in, I test my equipment in the morning, make sure it works. And then I run through things. I've got a brush. I mean, look at my hair. I mean, I'm worried about so I'm doing the things so that I feel better to come on here, but the reality is I don't really care how I look.
Right.
It's just the process that I go through in understanding. Okay, if you do these things, you're gonna feel better. And for me, I'm much better in person because I move around. I mean, you can see my hands a little bit here talking. What I don't like about being on camera is I'm confined to a space, and getting over that. And so when I say I'm working on confidence all the time, that's really true.
It as a podcast host, I try my best that I possibly can to try to relate to what my guest is sharing. I gotta tell you, when you brought the brush out, I was at a loss. I know where to go with you.
I don't know. I don't understand why.
I tried. I did try though. I really tried, but it just wasn't there for me.
Awesome.
So you particularly focus on young people, and as you talk about some of the obstacles and that they're facing. What's the starting point? Like when you say, okay, here's what we're gonna. I'm assuming they've come to you, or maybe you've gone to them. We're going to work on you being, helping become a more confident speaker. What's the starting point? Like, what does that look like? That process?
Well, see, it varies for everybody. I don't have, outside of the forum for public speaking, that's the only thing that's starts beginning to go to the end. The first thing that I do is just have conversations with them, and then I watch them. I watch them interact. what are they doing? Where are they struggling? They tell me where they're struggling, then I go and watch. And then we start working on things from that perspective, because I think we all have, number one, we all have different styles. Right? Yeah. We all have different approaches. We use different languages. Some people are more stiff. Some people, like me, are a little bit more loose. If you notice, I don't use big words at all. It's just not who I am. If I start using big words, people are going to say, "What's going on, Tim? What you do?" Right? So everything is really individualized, because when if you come at somebody and it's not you, number one, you're going to look robotic, you're going to look uncomfortable, and people are going to figure you out real quick. Right. And to me, everything comes back to building relationships and, having good, open, honest communication. Everything else after that will take care of itself. If you seem authentic, if you are coming across as a normal person and who you are, that's the start of building those relationships.
Yeah, I think so, because there's much to be said. So key in who you are, but also your strengths too, Tim.
Yeah,
I think it's great value, because we all got them. We all got these strengths, these things that we do better than no one else, that we can do till all hours of the night, and not be tired, and we just, it's our zone, so to speak, right? And you think of if you can find a way to stay in that zone or as close to that zone as possible, I think you perform better, and you can speak more confidently about it, just because it's your sweet spot. So it's really being clear on find what your sweet spot is, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you can do that, then your message becomes more clear and concise.
Yeah.
Right. No. And if your message becomes clear and concise, it's understood quicker. It's there's so many things that happen when you can do that. And I had a conversation with somebody actually this morning.
Okay.
And I was in a meeting with them over the weekend, and I said to her, "Look, you talk too much." Basically, is exactly how I put it. I said, "You talk too much. You can get your message across much, much more clearer if, instead of taking 20 minutes to explain something, you took 2 or 3 minutes."
Right.
And I gave them the example, and I showed them this. And so over the next couple of days, we're going to practice doing some of those things. And it's not necessarily not being who you are, just because you like to talk in those types of things, but there's times when you are in meetings and people want information,
right,
clear and concise. And then if they want more information, they'll ask for more.
Yeah, I think sometimes people they overtalk because they're nervous, right? It's a nervous reaction to. So you figure just keep talking, right? But that doesn't always work.
Doesn't work. No, not at all.
Let's talk about your formula. You've got a formula for public speaking, right? That people can lock into and figure out sort of what the so maybe I know I asked her what the starting point, but I guess the formula it's got an entire process.
It really does, and again that's who I am. I've got really bad ADHD, but if you give me a formula, step-by-step process that works, I'm going to do the same thing every time. Same thing. Obviously modify it for different things, but if it works, same thing every time, because it works. And then, everything else takes care of itself. So the very first thing that you have to do is understand who your audience is. Go through and do a deep dive research on who you're talking to. If you're going to an interview, let's put it this way, and let's back up for a second. I do focus on young professionals, but what I found is even some of the older professionals, 35, 40 years old, need to learn how to communicate with younger professionals too. And that's to me, that's also very different. So do a deep dive on who you're talking to. If you're going into an interview and you don't know who you're interviewing with, it's not going to go well.
Right.
Because there's so much information out there on everybody. you can find it. Just, find out who you're talking to, practice, understand what they're going to ask you, those different types of things. So audiences first. Then you can start to develop the content which you're actually going to talk about based on who that audience is.
Right.
Let's go back into the sports industry for just a second. Everything that you did. I mean, from being director of communications to being the commissioner of the league, you're talking with so many different publics on any given moment, right? 5 minutes you're here, 5 minutes you're over here, and you have to be prepared with maybe the same information, but delivered in different ways.
Absolutely.
Right. So develop your content is next. Then the expectations. What is it that your audience is expecting from the talk?
Sure.
What is who's hired you expecting from it? What are you expecting to get out of it? I mean, and now you're starting to develop this whole idea of, okay, starting to come together. And then the last part is the script. And that is putting everything together in story form. It's, the terminology, it's the story, it's the visuals. If you're going to have visuals, it's the body language, it's the tone, it's the pauses, the volume, all those different types of things. And this is not easy. Communication is not easy. And this is where practice comes in. If you don't practice, doesn't really matter. You could put all this other work into it, but if you don't actually practice, it doesn't matter. Again, I think about it from a sport perspective. What team or individual goes into competition never having practice?
Doesn't happen. Doesn't
happen.
Doesn't work. And the key with the practice, which I love, and I think people sometimes it gets misconstrued or overcomplicated. It's the simple things. It's the simple basic things that you're just repeating over and over again. So it's second nature as opposed to big, long, elaborate formulas. And I mean, sure you can, but the most effective practice are the consistent basic ones. You alluded to I was a commissioner of basketball league, as my listeners know, and we oftentimes throughout the league, many of our teams would go to little varsity teams and go to their practices or help coach and whatnot have you, and the one thing that always amazed our young players is when the players that we went to go see is the players in our league would say, yeah, we do the exact same drills that you do. And we're at the pro level. We do the same, whether it be the mic and drill or behind the back or slide shuffle or whatever. We do all the same things. And they were just blown away by that because they thought they were expecting more. But the reality is you're refining the simple, small details over and over and over again.
Until it becomes second nature and you continue to do it. And I'm glad you said that because I referenced the greats, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Tom Brady's, the Tiger Woods of the world. If you talk to them, they would tell you that they focus on fundamentals every day, because if you don't have the fundamentals right, guess what happens? You can't do the more complex things. And if the all-time greats of the world are focused on fundamentals, why do you think that you should not be? And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying we need to be Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, but I'm honing in on what they find important and what they think is some of the most important things to their success. And it's the basics.
Yeah. Within all this, there's still someone gonna listen and say, yeah, but I get nervous. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And nervous is a natural reaction. But the truth of the matter is that nervousness isn't a bad thing, is it?
No, it's not. And it's not bad, especially if you don't let it overtake your life. I think nervousness is most of the time a good thing because it means that you care. It means that you care about what you're about to do. And I tell people a lot, I don't take myself very seriously at all. I like to have fun. I like to joke around, even in professional settings, but I take what I do very seriously and I prepare. And I think there's a difference between, taking yourself seriously and taking what you do seriously. And again, it's in that preparation, and that nervousness means that you care about what you do. You care about who you're serving. You care that you want to be and deliver the best product or service that you possibly can for your community, for your listeners, for your whoever it is that you're serving.
Yeah. No, and I think you if you're able to sort of recognize that the nervousness is going to come, but it's not a bad thing and it's okay. I think if you give your permission to be nervous, that can help you overall.
Absolutely. Because it helps in your whole preparation. It helps in your mindset because, and I just, use that word mindset. I think a lot of what we do and who we are is so intertwined with our mindset that most of the time, I don't think people even really give that any real thought. It just, something happens and it's human nature to go to the negative.
Yeah. Yeah. Easy. Super easy.
And trying to break out of that mindset is, again, it's practice. It takes work. It's not something that's overnight, but if you feel it, what's going to be your cue that you feel it, and what's going to be your cue to release it as quickly as possible? Because again, everybody has it, but how quickly are we going to let it stay? How quickly are we going to let it go and get back to what I say, being awesome, right? And it goes back to, the How I Met My Mother show and Barney Stinson. I love it. Stop being sick and get back to being awesome. Stop being mad, get back to being awesome. Stop being frustrated, get back to being awesome, right? That's all just mindset and personal self-talk.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of self-talk, so that resonates with me deeply in terms of just what we tell ourselves, what we think about ourselves, how we view ourselves. I think all those things are so important. Tim, you're also a podcaster, so I mean, as a fellow podcaster, I got to give you an opportunity to tell our listeners a little bit about the podcast that you. It's because you're an avid golfer, right? Golf fan too, right?
Yeah, I am. So I do have two podcasts. The one that's I've been doing the longest, but over 2.5 years. It's actually 3 years now. Oh, goodness. It's called Golf Week Amateur Tour, the podcast. And essentially how that all got started was, I was working so much after COVID. I was not in a good place, and a lot of things going on. And the guy who owns that tour, he and I are friends. And basically they run flighted individual stroke play events all across the United States. Story. And I went to him, I said, can I start a podcast? He had no idea what it was. He said, sure, do whatever you want. And it took off. So basically we interview our members, we interview tour directors, course general managers, course pros, winners of tournaments. So it's a really branded podcast, and it's a lot of fun because I'm talking to people all over the country. It's a blast.
Nice.
I've learned a lot with it, and now the professional one is speaking with confidence, and that's geared towards helping people become more powerful communicators. We interview people literally all over the world. So actually, today's episode that just went out this morning, interviewed a lady from Bulgaria, and Audley, it's amazing. I mean, I know you know this, but podcasting allows you to talk to people from all walks of life, all over the world. And what I've found is, doesn't matter where you are in the world, we're all dealing with the same issues.
Yeah, absolutely right. Podcasting, for me personally, has probably been the single most important thing I've ever done in my life. From a standpoint of development and learning, connecting, understanding, encouraging others. So I think it's a tremendous platform. I mean, I started my first podcast in 2007, so I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah,
and it absolutely is a blessing to be a part of it. So I'm with you on all that. Hey Tim, look, I appreciate you being here today and sharing some really valuable insights around public speaking and coaching. For listeners that wanted to connect with you, learn more about you, or work with you, where can we send them?
So the best place is to my website. Again, see, that's just me, my website. Send them to my website. It's timnewman.com. And there you can find everything. You can find the podcast. You can find out how to get in touch with me, work with me, or you can meet me on LinkedIn and just search for Tim Newman. I'm there. It's his face. That's why I'm a podcaster and didn't have it on video for the longest time. So there we go.
Amazing. And what we'll do is make sure that the contact details are in the show notes as well, so listeners could also connect with you. So again, thank you for being here. This has been awesome. I love the energy. I love the mission and the purpose around being very intentional about focusing on helping young people be better. And so thank you for all that. And thanks for being a guest today here on the Audacious Living Podcast.
Audley, thank you so much for allowing me to share with your community. I really do appreciate it.
All the best, my friend.
Same to you.
Back we are here on the podcast, and much thanks and appreciation goes out to Tim for being here. One of the many points that resonated with me during our conversation was the emphasis on authenticity. He shared a powerful truth when communicating. It's not about being polished speaker or a celebrity lookalike like Tim Robbins. It's about being real and relatable. We all have unique stories to share, and try to embrace our authenticity. We create connections with our audience, and I so loved how Tim outlined this formula for effective communication, breaking it down into manageable steps. It's a reminder that public speaking is a skill that can be developed with practice, dedication, much like any other discipline. For those that wanted to connect with Tim, I encourage you to do so directly, to dive deeper into his work. You can find his contact details in the show notes. He's always open to engaging with those who want to improve their public speaking skills. Be sure to check out Tim's special offerings, including his coaching programs and resources designed to help you become a more confident speaker. These are great opportunities to get personalized support on your journey. I want to thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Audacious Living Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and you found value in our conversation, please take a moment to follow, like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends or family. If you haven't already done so, your support helps us to grow and reach even more individuals looking to live their best audacious lives. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stephenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.